Well, it looks like good old Ubisoft is actually hurting just a little bit ahead of their release of Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, because constantly what we are seeing is all of these AAA studios are firing people left and right, and they'll try to give you every excuse as to why this is happening. They're going to try to tell you, oh, gamers just aren't buying games anymore. Gee, I wonder why that is. Or they'll try to say, oh, the market's changing, inflation, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, man, we know that if you were selling video games that gamers actually wanted instead of what Twitter wants, we all know that you would not be firing people to the extent that you are firing people right now.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now. This is cancer.
But ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, that's not something they want to hear. That's not a conversation they actually want to partake in. They want to be able to blame everybody else and anything else for their problems because it's always someone else's fault, right? This is the entertainment industry, and people are used to failing upwards. So we have an article here from That Park Place with a headline that reads, ahead of the Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows release, Ubisoft lays off 45 employees. So let's get into this article from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Ubisoft laid off approximately 45 employees ahead of the release of Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows. A Ubisoft spokesman confirmed to Bloomberg that the difficult yet necessary decision was made to align these studios' organizations with their future business and development objectives. The layoffs reportedly hit the company's offices in San Francisco and Cary, North Carolina. Now, I wonder, did they fire any diversity consultants? Nah, definitely not. Highly doubt it. Why would they fire diversity consultants? They need them, right? It's the most important thing to them. There's no fucking way in hell they're ever going to fire the diversity consultants. So I highly doubt that they did, but let's find out. The studio in Cary, North Carolina, and Red Storm Entertainment, which was working on Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland, but was scrapped by Ubisoft in May. The studio was originally founded by Clancy and British Royal Navy Captain Doug Littlejohns in 1996 and created Rainbow Six in 1998. It was acquired by Ubisoft in the year 2000. The studio has worked on Ghost Recon, Far Cry, The Division, Rocksmith, and Assassin's Creed Nexus. So they worked on some pretty big titles over the years, no doubt about it. And it's unfortunate to see them lose their job for some really bullshit reasons. But we all know that, again, you can deny it all you want. You can try to shill for the mainstream industry. That's perfectly fine. But you know, I know, and even the shills know that if they were putting out games that players actually wanted, if they were actually listening to fans instead of calling them racist, sexist, bigots, and misogynists, if they were doing all of that, I guarantee you they would not be firing people right now. I guarantee you they probably would not have even canceled that video game that they canceled. They would probably be in a lot better position. But ultimately, they have made their bed and they're going to lie in it, right? They decided to go with ESG funding. DEI is the way to go, right? They decided to do that. The executives are getting paid handsomely while everybody else is getting fired or taking a pay cut. This is the kind of capitalism that these losers have decided to want to encourage because they all want to be pandered to, right? It's amazing how the average worker in the AAA industry will be perfectly fine making absolute shit. They're perfectly fine with making no money, being fired, and all that stuff. They're perfectly fine with it as long as their ideology is being pushed. That's how well trained they are by the mainstream industry. These executives have these employees so well trained that all they got to do is say, hey, we're going to let you go because times are hard right now, but listen, we appreciate you and everything you stood for, and we're going to make sure that your belief, your ideology continues on in this company. Thank you so much for your time and your efforts. And then after they get fired, the fucking CEO drives in a fucking Porsche on his way home. It says Ubisoft detailed in an earnings press release why they were scrapping The Division Heartland. In line with increased selectivity of its investments, Ubisoft has decided to stop development on The Division Heartland and has redeployed resources to bigger opportunities such as X-Defiant and Rainbow Six. Now, X-Defiant, I believe X-Defiant is that game that Dr. Disrespect was initially working on or something along those lines. I really don't know. I'm trying to remember if that was the case, but I would want to see how X-Defiant is going to go now. Rainbow Six is always that kind of series that Ubisoft is going to rely on at the end of the day. It makes them pretty consistent money. It's not like a mega banger, but it has a really good player base, a solid core player base, and I think that they're going to continue that no matter what. According to the Ubisoft San Francisco website, the office houses both a development studio and a business office and has nearly 500 employees working there. The studio created South Park: The Fractured But Whole and is working on Rocksmith Plus and X-Defiant. As noted above, these layoffs come ahead of major releases for Ubisoft that the studio is counting on to make a big splash. However, the games might not be making as big of a splash as Ubisoft and investors hope. During a recent call, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot was asked by an investor from Bank of America, bro, that investor, wow. I didn't realize that investor was from Bank of America, because I remember covering a story about that earlier a few days ago, and I had no idea they were from Bank of America. And this is the one that I think Yves actually ignored. Let's see. Bank of America, if Ubisoft planned on delaying Star Wars Outlaws due to the negative feedback it was receiving regarding its NPC detection and graphics, Guillemot responded, the game has gone gold, so the date is well confirmed for August 13th. And as you mentioned, we'll be showcasing more content of a very high quality, multiple hours that will really show the depths of the open world. That is a key element of the promise to enjoy the exploration of the game, the galaxy with the multiple planets. So that will bode well for the game in terms of high quality delivery. I got to tell you, man, I don't see this game being polished when it comes out. I don't know about you guys. Unless it has a day one patch that fixes a lot of problems, I don't see it. We've seen so many clips that they are supposed to be showing us that's like their top stuff, right? When they show these trailers, this is supposed to be their best foot forward. So this is supposed to be your first good impression, right? And if you guys remember those trailers, they were garbage. And then all of the clips that were coming out of gameplay of the super girl boss movements that this chick is doing, where she smacks someone in the helmet and they instantly pass out, or all she has to do is grab someone on the helmet and they drop their gun and go on the floor willingly. It's like, this shit is garbage looking, and I can't imagine that it's going to be much better in release. But again, you know, you never know. You got day one patches for a reason. The company's chief financial officer, Frederick Duguet, also added, we've said also for Star Wars level of quality, the world and the experience is really, really high. We are really leveraging our engine, and I think people will love it. If this is you leveraging your engine, you need a new engine, because what I've seen capable from your engine is absolute trash. Ubisoft should be ashamed to even be calling this quality, considering the lip syncing is worse than most Asian films with subtitles. Like, I don't see how this is going to be anything that's going to be called a high quality engine. But again, this is Ubisoft, right? This is Quad A Ubisoft. Let's remind everybody, Quad A Ubisoft. Barclay Nick Dempsey also questioned the sales estimates the company was projecting given the pending release of Star Wars Outlaws. He asked, when I look at the guidance for Q2 and if I assume something similar for back catalog of Q2 and Q1 kind of getting to 200 to 230 million, that sort of range. For the new release Star Wars Outlaws, when I look at the $70 price tag and then assuming what you might get from it, I'm getting to around 5 million units, something in that sort of bracket. First of all, where could I be going wrong with that thinking? Secondly, are you just being pretty conservative in your guidance? Because I guess given the interest in that game, we might have thought that it would be more than 5 million units. Well, that's because you're wrong in thinking people are interested in this game, right? You're going to have some normies that are absolutely going to buy this game, no doubt about it. And you're also going to have some hardcore Star Wars shills that buy everything Star Wars, regardless of what it is, whether they like it or not, because they might be collectors and everything. It just depends. Ultimately, though, Star Wars Outlaws is not looking good. And Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think it's going to sell more than Star Wars Outlaws. Obviously, we're going to find out which one sells more. But I think no matter which way you go, I think both of them are going to fall short of expectations regarding Ubisoft and their projections. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.